what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and today I'm going to be doing Jan's January book tag. Now, I wanted to do this video last year and I never actually ended up doing it, so I figured I'd better get with it and do it this year. So if you haven't heard of this tag, Jan put together a series of questions for the very beginning of the year, kind of going over things that happened last year and what our goals are for this year, and I wanted to come on here and take part. So that being said, there are 10 questions. I will leave her video linked down below so that way you can check out her original video from this year if you would like to. And yeah, thank you, Jan, for these questions and the inspiration. You've inspired me to pick up books. You have inspired me to do more with my channel and being happy with what I have accomplished with my channel, even though it might not always feel like much for me. I want to say thank you because you do inspire me to make more content and just try and do it what I can and be happy with the accomplishments that I have achieved. So thank you to Jan for everything. And so let's get into it. So the first question is the last book and the first book that you read from last year, if you can remember them. Now, the first book that I read last year was actually finishing out The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owens. This was when I very first started to read romantasy. I had read Fadington Blood the end of last year, or 2024, and then I immediately jumped into this one and I had to finish it out at the very beginning of 2025. And this was a 5-star read for me. Like, I thought about putting it on my top books of the year, but at the same time, like, I didn't feel right having it kind of like half of it in 2024 and half of it in 2025. So I didn't, but I loved this book so much. This book has trials and romance and it was so much fun. Book 2 is out now. It is on my TBR. I want to read it. I want to read this one again because I feel like I don't remember very much from it, which is unfortunate, but I loved it when I read it. So I want to go back and enjoy it again, because I've read so much more romantasy since then. And so it really was stand out for me at the beginning of the year. And then I've just read so many other books since then that I want to go back to this. I want to reread it, continue on in the series, and be ready for the third book to come out in 2026. Now, the last book that I read in 2025 was If Cats Disappeared from the World. And that is, oh my God, what is his name? I'm not going to be able to say his name. It is Japanese translated. I will put a picture of it up here. I'm not going to try and say his name or their name, because I won't be able to pronounce it correctly anyways. But this one was basically a guy who gets diagnosed with cancer. He is 30 years old. And he gets diagnosed because of he gets told that he has a brain tumor, I believe. And he could have as much as 6 months, but in reality, they think he's only going to have a week to live. Or that he would be lucky to make it the week. And so then he kind of goes into like a full-blown panic mode, as would be expected. And he is at his apartment, and then somebody shows up that's a doppelganger, looks exactly like him, and says, yeah, I'm the devil and I'll make you a deal. If you agree to get rid of one thing in your world forever, I'll give you another day to live. But I get to choose what it is. So the devil chooses what it is. First thing is phones. Gets rid of phones. And I'm not going to say any more. But it's basically him kind of coming to terms with the fact that he was dying and what he is willing to risk for that. This book, it was just a short little novella. It was my sister's. She gave it to me. I ended up giving it 3 stars or 3.5 stars. I thought it was really good, and it was definitely that he put a lot of emotion into it, and you could tell that when you were reading it. But I felt like the writing was super, super simplistic and almost like a middle grade type book. And maybe that was because of the translation, to be completely honest. But I felt like it was good, but it was very predictable. It was what you would expect. He comes to all the conclusions you would think that he does. And, you know, I mean, I thought it was a good story. I didn't hate my time reading it, but it wasn't the best novella I've ever read. Bloom took that one for me like forever for a novella, and I am like aching to find another novella, especially a horror novella, that will hit as well as Bloom did for me. But that's another story. But yeah, so the last book that I read last year, or 2025, was If Cass Disappeared from the World. And like I said, I gave it like 3.5 stars. Maybe not the best way to end out the year, but it was still fine. You know, at that point, you know, the end of the year, I wanted something short, something easy, and I was happy with that. And so it ended up all working out fine. And kind of at the end of the year, I kind of go into like a burnout that I've been reading so much throughout the year, and trying to do so much with like videos and trying to get on top of things and stay on top of things, and then kids go on vacation and then everything hits the fan. So the end of the year, I kind of hit that full-on burnout, and I'm just ready for starting the year fresh. So here we are, and happy 2026, happy new year. Question number 2 is my first read of this year. My first read of this year was actually a DNF. So the first book that I tried to start was The Peculiar Garden by Harriet Hunt. I have it in the other room. I'm not gonna go get it because it was a DNF. It is on my Pango. I'm going to be getting rid of that book. But that was by Chelsea Iverson. And that book, I DNF'd it because it had very, very, very strong indications of a lot of abusive content, and like physical, mental, emotional, like whole nine, from parents and then from partners. And I didn't want to start my year off that way. So, and not to mention the fact that it was very, very repetitive, kind of a out of the frying pan and into the fire kind of situation from what I've seen on reviews. And I didn't want to start my year out that way. So I DNF'd it like 30 pages in. And the one that I ended up picking up instead, which is funny because if you have read this book, you're going to be like, well, why did you stick with that one? But the next one that I picked up was The Lost Bookshop. This is my first read of the year officially because this is the first one that I finished. This is by Evie Woods, and this is dual timelines. One timeline is set in 1920 and on, and then the other timeline is in modern day. And it's these people that are looking for, in the modern time, looking for this magical bookstore. Our main character, Martha, she is running away from an abusive marriage, ends up getting a job as a live-in housekeeper for this woman who used to work in theater, and she ends up kind of just randomly meeting this guy, just kind of a meet cute type of situation, that she meets this guy who's looking for this lost library, or the lost bookstore. And the 1920s timeline is following Opaline, who is the one who founded this bookstore, and she is having issues with a traumatized veteran brother who is also somewhat abusive. So I still ended up reading a book with those elements to it. However, this one handled them completely, this book handled it completely differently from The Peculiar Garden of Harriet Hunt, and I stuck it out, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I'm not going to say any more on it because the video that's going to have both of these books in it is actually what I'm in progress with right now. So I don't want to say any more than that, but that's what we started the year with. I am working on Alphabet Escapades episode 1 for 2026, so make sure that you come back and check that out if you are so inclined. That one is my version of a TBR tackle, and reading some of these books off my shelves. So anyways, the question number 3 is to share 3 reading goals. So my reading goals, I usually, I don't post goals videos. I kind of look at them once in a while throughout the year, and the only one that I really try to stick with is that my Goodreads goal for this year is 100 books. Now, I made it to 99 in 2025. I was one novella away from reaching my goal, but I was in that burnout, and I thought, you know what, I am perfectly happy with reading 99 books in a year, and I'm just gonna stay happy with that, and I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna enjoy hanging out with my kids on New Year's, and we're just gonna leave it at 99. So my Goodreads goal is, once again, 100 books. I have every intention of meeting it. I think I will be able to. So that's my first reading goal. My second reading goal is going to be to take part in some more readathons this year. I've talked about it already on my channel that I always watch them and I kind of quietly partake in readathons, like on my own time or whatever, in amongst everything else that I'm trying to get done. But I want that to be a more prominent thing for me this year. I want to spend more time actively working on these reading challenges or actively working on these readathons with all of you and with content. So that's my second reading goal for this year, is to do more readathons and more actively participate. Week-long reading vlogs. I really want to do Summerween this year. I always want to. Same with Jan's, I don't even remember what she calls it. Her moon readathon, new moon readathon. I think that's what it's called. I want to participate in that this year because I have always wanted to and I just haven't yet. My third reading goal that I'm going to share is I want to do more rereads this year. I have a lot of books that I always say, oh man, I would love to read that book again. I would love to experience that again and follow the story again. And I never do it. I have 250, give or take, books that I have not read yet on my shelves, so I don't make time to reread. I want to reread House in the Cerulean Sea. I want to reread Under the Whispering Door. I want to reread Laini Taylor. I want to reread Neil Shusterman. I want to reread Christopher Paolini's books at some point in time. There's so many books that I would love to try out again and see if I still enjoy them the same way that I did before. Ones that I read back in high school that I've wanted to read again for years and I haven't yet. So I want to make the time to do that this year. So that is my third goal for 2026. All right, so the fourth question on here is 3 most anticipated titles. So the first one that comes to mind is because it comes out the end of this month. It comes out on January 20th, I believe, and that is The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Sato Yombao. That is the author of Watermoon, and I gave that book 5 stars last year. I really enjoyed it. I know not everybody enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed it, so I'm really looking forward to trying something else from her. The next one that comes to mind is Sea of Charms, which is the next one to Spell Shop. I think it's Sea of Charms. It's the next one to the Spell Shop series. And so, of course, Sarah Beth Durst. I'm really looking forward to that one. And the third one that comes to the top of my head is going to be the new Molly O'Neill. She wrote Green Teeth, and she has one that's coming out that I believe is called Nightshade Oak that I'm really curious to try out and see if I like it. We also have the next Shield of Sparrows book coming out, Ride of the Starling, and I'm so excited for that one. I don't know why that wasn't my first thought, but I'm so excited for that one as well. So there's 4. It says 3, but those are 4 of the ones that I'm really, really, really looking forward to this year that I know are gonna be coming out soon. Question number 5 is which goals did you reach or not reach? Now, like I already said, I wanted to try and reach 100 books in 2025 and I didn't do that. One of my other goals was to reach 500 subscribers, which definitely didn't happen, but that's gonna just stay like an ongoing goal until I get there, and then I'll just go from there. So I think that I wanted to reread more. I wanted to finish some series. I did and didn't do that. You know, I wanted to read more sci-fi, which I did to start with at the beginning of the year, and then I kind of staggered away from that. So I didn't do very good at meeting my goals. I didn't get my 25 for... Good job. I didn't hit my 25 for 2025. I remade my 25 for 2025 in like June or July, and I didn't get that either, but I did better. So yeah, I didn't do much with my goals last year, and so maybe that doing this year will be a good sign. Maybe it'll help give me that kick in the butt that I need to actually complete some of my goals. So question number 6 is 2026 releases you have no desire to read. I don't know, honestly. Like, Riley Sager is probably gonna have a new one that comes out, most likely. He has one that comes out every year or every summer, and you know, after his one from 2 years ago, the first, I don't even remember what it's called, Middle of the Night, I think is what it was. I didn't like that book. I think I gave that one 2 stars, and I didn't like it. So then I was really tentative to pick up this last book that he came out with, the train one with a vengeance. I was really scared to pick that one up because of how much I hated the one before it. And so I don't know if I'd pick up any more from him, like at least not buying them outright and like anticipating them. But other than that, I don't know. I think there's a lot of books that I'm discovering and a lot of things that I'm learning that I actually really enjoy, but there's not specifically any that I don't really care about. I don't read the Emily Henry, Abby Jimenez, Frida McFadden. I don't read any of their books really. So I've read Emily Henry before. I have just for the summer, but I'm not like on that bandwagon. And then Frida McFadden, I tried one of her books and I hated it. And I haven't tried anything else from her since. I have one on my shelves to give it a shot, but I'm putting it off. So I don't really care about any of those, but I'm more curious about seeing what actually does come out this year, what new authors are gonna come out this year, and what some of our favorite authors are gonna come out with. So there's not really anything that I'm not looking forward to. There's just some that just aren't on my radar, which is not difficult to do because I don't feel like I have my finger on the pulse of that as much as others do. Next up, number 7 is reading habits that I want to change this year. And I think I have a tendency to almost limit myself to just one book at a time, but there for a while I've been reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. And then I'll be reading something else for a video. And I basically do it in the mornings and in the evenings when I have my quiet reading time when everybody else is asleep. I'll read Dungeon Crawler Carl, but like during the day, I'll work on my stuff for content. And I want to be more open to doing that, or more open to having multiple books going at the same time. I also want to do better about getting my content done ahead of schedule if possible. A lot of times I feel like I'm scrambling, and if there's any kind of change of plans, then I've screwed myself and I don't have a video. So I'm trying to do better about making sure I get things up twice a week, or at the very least once a week. But I want to do better about that. I want to do better about the planning ahead part. I plan ahead, I just don't always follow through, or I'm too ambitious with what I'm planning, and I need to kind of dial it back for myself a little bit. So that's one of my big goals. It's not so much a reading goal, but it is at least a content goal. I also want to try and do some more of my themed vlogs. I haven't done those as much this last year. And so yeah, I want to keep up with Alphabet Escapades. I want to do the monthly reading challenges, the buzzword challenges, things like that would come out monthly. And so I want to be able to fit all these things in, and I want to try and make sure that I actually am focused on getting it done, and getting it done when I want it to be done. Now, this year hasn't started out great. Okay, sorry, my camera overheated. So questions number 8. We are on question number 8, and that is adaptations that you're excited about. And I don't really know about any adaptations that I would want to watch. The only one that I've kind of heard teased about is for Butcher and Blackbird. And if Butcher and Blackbird actually does become a movie, I will be right there watching it. I will make my husband see it with me because I love that book. I love that series. I'll probably hate the movie when they make it because that's always how it goes. I love a book and then I hate the movie. But that's the only one I really know about that it's been teased about, you know? I thought that they were gonna do a new Aragon, like as a series, for the inheritance cycle, but I don't know if they ever actually did that, and I feel like it might be on Disney, which we don't have anymore because we decided to quit paying it because we couldn't watch it here at our house because our internet sucks. So I don't have Disney anymore, so if they did come out with an Aragon one, I don't know. But if they do that, I would be curious about that because I feel like when they originally made the movie for Aragon years and years ago when we were kids, it was so disappointing. And especially after reading the books and then going back and trying to watch the movie with my husband, like it just shows how low budget that movie must have been, or just like not good. They did not do a good job of creating Saphira, and they didn't do a good job with that adaptation, in my opinion. I didn't like that movie, and those books are fantastic. There's so much to them, and there's so many interesting concepts in that series that the movie didn't do it justice when they did it years ago. So that's the only one I know about. I don't really know what all movies are coming out. So the only movies I ever hear about are like kids movies. So like Zootopia 2 and things like that. So I don't really know about any of the movie adaptations that are coming out. Number 9, my favorite bookish memory of last year. I don't know. I thought it was really, really interesting when I read Bridge to Terabithia. I read it for a video and I don't remember what the video was right now, but I read Bridge to Terabithia for a video. And that is one of my son's all-time favorite books. And I had never read it. I had always seen the movie because he loves that movie too. And I read his favorite book. And I thought that was kind of special that it was my son's favorite book, one of the few books that he actually has finished. He starts a whole bunch of them. He loves books. He loves to read. He starts a whole bunch of them, but he never actually finishes them. But so I think that was really fun, being able to read one of his favorite books. Being able to do my Sydney Made Me Read It video. I had a ton of fun with that, and I am looking forward to doing more versions of that. I'm going to be starting out the year with reading booktubers favorites, but I'm going to do it set up as a Sydney Made Me Read It Best of 2025 edition, or best of insert booktuber's name here, 2020 Best of 2025 edition. So I am really looking forward to doing that. I have books coming, I have books on my shelves, and I have plans. I'm really, really excited for it. But I'm really looking forward to all of that. Another memory from this year that I've been really, really happy with, and I really want to continue and do better about actually getting to the books, is this year was the first year that my sister and I decided to do our own kind of book of the month book exchange. She gets or sends me one of her books every month, and I send her one of my books or buy her a book every month, and it's been a lot of fun. So it's kind of like book of the month for us to choose a book for each other. It's a surprise. We don't know what the other one is going to send, but it's been really fun, and we do that every single month with a book for each other. And a lot of the times I would just send her ones that I read and that I loved and gave 5 stars, or I had talked about on my videos and stuff like that. And she would send me ones that she's read, or ones that she got for the both of us, or I would get books for the both of us. The last book I sent her for December was, I bought Shield of Sparrows for her. I'd been gushing about it ever since I read it, and I got her a copy, and I got it sent down to her, and so she can read that one. We already started out this year. I gave her, for January, I gave her actually the whole trilogy, but the first book in the Dragonheart Legacy series by Nora Roberts. I read that whole series last year, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars all the way around, and I thought it was a really good, like, cozy type of fantasy. And I really enjoyed that series. The one that she got for me is actually right here. It is The Lost by Sarah Beth Durst, one of our absolute favorite authors. So I'm really, really excited to start this one. I need to start this one so that way I can start out by staying on top of it. She's reading it right now. And so it's been really fun having that kind of trading books back and forth with her, and she gets busy with things at her house. I get busy with stuff at my house. We don't always send them on time or read them right away. But it's been really, really fun having kind of that sharing books with my sister back and forth every single month. And I'm really looking forward to continuing on with that this year. And like I said, hopefully reading the books in the month that they're due. So that was one of my favorite memories from this year. All right, and now number 10, last but not least, any carryovers from last year that I'm still planning on finishing. So I'm gonna finish out Dungeon Crawler Carl, guaranteed. I have plans, and I have started the first chapter in The Butcher's Masquerade. It is book 5. Dungeon Crawler Carl, I started this past year, and I absolutely love that series. I read it for that Sydney Made Me Read It video, and I loved it. I have... goodness, what other carryovers do I have? I need to finish rereading my reread of A Fading in Blood, so that way I can finally actually read A Curse Carved in Bone. I haven't even heard anybody talking about that book. It's been out since, like, what, August or September, and I haven't heard anybody talking about it yet. Maybe it was even before that. I don't remember. But I bought that on release day, and I still have not read it. Same with Things Gods Break. I need to read that book. I got it on release day. I was so excited for it, and I still haven't read it yet. What else do I have? Those are the only ones that I could think of off the top of my head for carryovers, but obviously I have so many books on my TBR that there are plenty for me to read this year, and the new ones that I'm going to be picking up as I go, because I will never stop buying books. It is my favorite thing to do, is to get a box of books, and that won't change. So that being said, that is it for this JAN-uary book tag, and thank you so much for hanging out with me. I would love to hear your answers to some of these questions, and if you want to fill out this tag, absolutely do it. It's so fun. Thank you again to Jan for all the questions and for all of your inspiration, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.